Good evening, everyone. Let's start the session. So, in our last session, we covered till our field status variant. So, field status variant in SAP help to restrict any field or make any field required during transaction posting. Let's say if you are posting any financial document and you want a particular field to be filled in by the user, you can make that field as a required field using field status variant. So when someone end user will post a document, that field until unless he entered that field, system won't allow to post that transaction. So let's say in a previous session I made few of the fields as required fields using field status variant, and within field status variant we have groups for different based on different GLs and requirements. Bank related GL, you want value field as a required field. For all other GL accounts, you can make any field that you want as a required field. For example, business area, tax, cost center, profit center. So first you need to define field status variant that needs to be assigned to a company code. Then within field status variant, you can have many groups. We copied the standard and change it to our ID as 55, I think so, 55. And then within those groups will be assigned to individual GL. So whenever you using that GL posting any transaction, whatever selections you made in that group will apply. Now, before I go and jump to our next topic, which is tolerance, I wanna make sure that we understand few concepts. In SAP, we use a concept, a term called open item. Open items are those items which are due for payments, those which are not paid yet, still outstanding. Let's say you have a vendor invoice, you purchase something. When you purchase something, vendor sends you in the invoice, you enter that invoice into SAP system, you didn't pay yet, that invoice will show as open item. Open item means we need to pay this. So in SAP, when we go, let's say if I pull up any report for customers or vendors, we have any in favorites, we don't have FBL1N, right? FBL1N is a report that will show you for a particular vendor in a particular company code how much I owe and how much I need to pay on a particular date. You select this open item. So on 22nd of May, you see these line items are shown as open item, and SAP gives a color, red color, means status, right? Red means they are not cleared yet, they are not paid yet. Once you pay this invoice, there is a transaction code to pay the invoice. There is a system and setup in SAP we didn't cover yet. In AP, I will show you how to create an invoice and how to pay the invoice. Until you pay the invoice, this will show as open item. But once you pay these, it will turn into green. If you go either cleared or all items, it will show in a green color. You see underneath, this is green. So these are open, these are cleared. So make sure you understand what is open item. Open item means not cleared yet. Cleared item means they are paid, cleared. Now, when you enter the invoice, dates are important, right? So there are many dates in SAP when you post any transaction, financial posting, vendor invoice, customer invoice, provisions, parking, anything you post in SAP, you need to enter the dates. So at a higher level, you should understand what is document date, what is posting date, what is value date. Document date is the date. Let's say you purchase something from a vendor, let's say a stationery. Now you purchase a stationery from Staple. Staple is our vendor. They sends you in the inventory material. Now once you will receive the material, once you confirm the material is received, they will send you in the invoice. When they send you the invoice, there will be a date on that invoice. The date when they issue the invoice. Let's say they are in California, let's say they send you the invoice in the mail on the first of the month. Someone in Staples AP department, sorry, AR department, they will issue you the invoice. They enter the date first. Now it took 2 days, let's say, in the mail, and you receive that invoice on 3rd, right? Now someone in SAP at your company, in your company, will post that invoice that yes, we received this stationery from Staples. Now we owe them X amount of money. We will post. So on 3rd you receive the invoice in the mail. AP people are busy. They may not or may enter on 3rd. They may enter on 5th or 4th. So when we enter that invoice in our company in AP department, that will be a posting date. Posting date is the date when you enter the invoice or document in SAP system. Then there is a value date. Value date, let's say these are related to the check related transactions. When you, let's say, someone sends you the check or you send the check to someone, right? Check, the value date is the check encashment date, when they actually clear the check, when they presented that check in to their bank, right? Is it clear? So make sure you understand what is document date, posting date, and value date. So the field status variant is done. Now we are going to see our next topic, which is tolerance.
But can you go up, please, if you don't mind, sir?
Sure.
No, no, above. Yeah. No, no, you just say the date, the check date. They didn't work. Okay. The so the document date is the check issue date, right?
No.
No, it's written. Document date, the check issue date.
Document date, in you can take in that scenario as well, but simply understand document date is the date which is written on the document. It can be a check date, check issue date. Let's say I wrote a check, right? I enter the date, right? When I'm writing the check, I will enter the date and I'll give it to you, right? Right?
Yeah.
Or I
Yes.
can give the invoice to you. You purchase something from me, right? Now you owe me money. I will send you the invoice. Hey, Mr. Bangesh, pay me this amount. In either case, it could be a check issue date or it could be a invoice date, document date, whatever the date which is written on the document. Document can be a check, document can be invoice, right? Understand, right? Don't consider only check. Check issue date, when I write a check, you always write a date, right, on the check.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I write a date, today's date, and I mail it to you, it took 2 days, right, to reach to your address. Now you may not, you are busy, you can go the next day or you can go after 5 days to encash that check, right? That will be a value date, and that check you will need to enter into SAP system that yes, I received the payment, right? That will be a
Correct.
posting date, right?
Posting date.
Yeah. So it's a, you're right, it could be a check issue date. It's not only check issue, but in that particular scenario, Yes, it is check issue date. Now, next is the tolerance. We're very important, right? Hierarchy, authorization. Tolerance means limit, right? Every person in a company may have a different limit, right? Senior person, more limit. He can issue a bigger amount of check, right? In a bank, particularly when you go, there are authorizations. Cashier cannot issue and give you the payment for X amount, right? Maybe 1 lakh. If you go and present a check for 1 million, uh, his authorization and tolerance is up to 1 lakh, right?
Yeah.
And he will needs to get approval from manager. Manager has a higher tolerance, right? Tolerance can be used in many ways, right? Now, let's say I purchase something from you for 1 lakh, right? You send me in the goods, I receive the goods, right? I verified the goods. Now you and I inform you that yes, I did receive the goods. Goods are okay. Now the next step is you will send me the invoice, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you send me the invoice, you will send me the invoice for 1 lakh, right? Now when I pay, let's say if I pay 99,000, there is a difference, right? Difference of 1,000. If you set a tolerance for 1,000, system will allow you to post in SAP system or in accounting. Both line items should, or in a GL, the balance should be 0. You purchase for 1 lakh, right? You pay for 1 lakh. You cannot pay 99, right? System won't allow you, right? If you have a tolerance set for $1,000 in that case, in particular example, system will allow you to post, but that difference will go to a different GL account. Difference amount will go to a different GL account to balance the entry, right? So this is used in case of vendor, right? You purchase something or maybe you sell something and you send the invoice to your customer, and you sell for 1 lakh and he sends you check for 99,000. Will it allow, SAP will allow you to post the invoice? Because you sell for 1 lakh, you're supposed to get a check for 1 lakh, but you are getting a check for 99. There is a difference of 1,000. If you maintain a tolerance for 1 lakh, system will allow you to post, right? And in case of some balance sheet GL account, let's say for example in companies, let's say they have expenses, right? Every month and they have to pay the rent, they have to pay the bills, their utilities, all those things. So what is the scenario in SAP? In companies, they raise a provision means you setting aside certain amount of money. Let's say your rent is $70,000, so you will put that money on the side that I have to pay. You will create a liability that I need to pay this 70,000 rent at the month end. So there are many benefits. One, you will not forget, right? And the second is you will set aside a amount of money, right? When you pay the rent, right? So you keep aside a certain amount, right? You make sure that when I'm writing a check, I have enough money in my account, right? So in
Right.
companies there are a lot of many expenses, so you cannot just verbally, or you cannot memorize all those expenses in your head, right? So you need to, that is the beauty of SAP keep tracks of everything, right? You create provisions, and then at the month end system, the provisions will be shown as a red color open item, and once you pay your rent, that will turn into green. In that case also, when you create a provision, let's say you created a provision for 1 lakh and your
प्रोविजन किसे कहते हैं?
provision कहते हैं कि थोड़ा सा पैसा साइड पे रख लिया आपने.
अच्छा, जमा पूंजी.
No. You in a company, there are many expenses, right?
Exactly.
So you will put some money, create some provisions that I need to pay that much amount at the month end. Then we create the provision, let's say for 1 lakh, 70,000 rent, but you paid the rent, the vendor said, no, your rent is raised, now you have to pay 71,000. So you created a provision, or 69,000 for, let's say, in case if it's reduced, right? So system will verify and reconcile your provision, open item. When you clear them, try to clear them. If the amount is less than or more than the provision amount, system won't allow you to post unless you created that tolerance, that okay, let's say if it's under $1,000, maximum $1,000, no problem, post the document, right? Let's say, for example, someone sends you the check, someone owe you $1 million and they send you $9,99,999. So you receive the money $1 short. Will you tell your the customer, no, I'm not accepting this payment, give me complete 1 million? No, right? Because it's dollar, right? Compared to $1 million is nothing, right? So you want to post, right? Otherwise, if you say no, we're gonna take 10 more days, and you will lose the money. If you keep $1 million in your bank account, you will lose 10 days interest, right? And if you invest somewhere, you can get a lot of money, right? So that's why the tolerances are important in SAP, to set a limit. Let's say this is an example. Then I will go configuration part. Okay. Can you see the screen, Ahsan and Vangish?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's say on any particular date, right? You created a provision on 17th, let's say April. You created a provision in SAP that I need to pay rent for 1 lakh. I need to pay salaries to my employees for 20,000. This is 10,000, sorry, and 20,000. And then I have to pay commission for the sale people for 5,000, right? Now someone in accounting will post this transaction, and then you will credit outstanding expense, and then total will be 35,000, right? Now at the beginning of the month, right, at the beginning of the month, you need to pay this. Rent you will pay, salaries you will pay, and commission you will pay, right? 10,000, 20,000, and 5,000, total of 35,000. Now when you pay and offset this provision, this is called provision. Now when you will pay, okay, that is fine, 10,000 cash you paid as a rent, right? And then salaries you paid cash 20,000, that is fine. Now when it comes to commission, you're supposed to pay $5,000, right? But you paid 4,800, right? You paid 4,800. If you don't have tolerance of $200, system will throw an error, right? You cannot post. If you set a tolerance that it's fine, if there is a difference of $200, no problem, post the entry. What system will do, it will post that 200 into a difference, and there is a GL we need to create to balance this, because if you add $200 into 10,000, 20,000, and 4,800, it will become 35,000 and it will balance out. Understood? Is it clear? Any question? Okay, no problem. Let's see. I will explain one more time. Rent, right? We created a rent provision, and we will create a rent GL. With this rent GL, we will assign a tolerance group. We will create a tolerance group that if this rent $10,000, if we pay less than or maximum 150, 9,950, right? 850, sorry, the difference system will allow you post. Then for salaries, right, we will create a group of tolerance group B. If the salaries that we created a provision for 20,000, if I pay up to 100 difference, no problem, system will allow you to post. Then for commission, we'll create a group, tolerance group C. If there is a difference of $200, right, system will allow you to post. I'll show you, and we have to enter these limits in SAP system, and I show you in SAP, so it will be more clear, right? Okay. So you can go either way. You can go to your transaction code OBA0, or you can go the menu path going to IMG, reference IMG, financial accounting, new, financial accounting, new, general ledger accounting, new, business transactions, open item clearing, clearing differences, define tolerance groups for GL accounts. We'll create a new entry, or we can check if we can copy from my company code. You can create a new, or you can create a from the scratch, right? Now this is tolerance for your company code, right? Now you can set the debit and credit difference, right? If you leave that open, right, any amount of difference is allowed. If you owe 1,000 and if you owe $1,000 and you are paying $1, system will allow you to post. There is always a balance in SAP, right? So if you leave, we will leave it as a blank. Then we will create another tolerance for employee, right? So this is company wide, all open, but for Bangish, he is allowed a maximum difference of 200. Ehsan is allowed a maximum difference of 500. So if you leave it blank, and also we will leave this tolerance group as a blank, we will create a blank tolerance. The reason to create this tolerance as a blank, we need to assign this tolerance to your individual GLs. So if you create like 555, then compulsorily you have to assign this tolerance group to individual GL account. To save the time, if you create as a blank, it will automatically assign to your GLs, right? And then we will press enter, and then we will save. Or you can go new entry. I copied. You can go just enter your company code 555 and then enter any text and then create this one same way, right? Now, next is tolerance group for employees, right? In my tolerance, I have mentioned that this tolerance, according to this tolerance, any difference is allowed, right? Debit and credit means when you owe someone or when someone owes you, right? That is the difference between credit and debit. Now, for employees, the same scenario, setting the maximum limits of posting procedure for employees, right? The amount of document an employee can post in GL. What is your limit? How much maximum amount of posting you can post into the GLs? How maximum amount of a vendor invoice or a customer invoice or any assets accounts you can post. We will cover this vendor and customer in future, right? So what is the posting procedure? Like how much amount you can post open item, how much discount you can give, how much the payment difference you can accept, right? If you logged into your SAP with your username and password, right? Against your username and password, we will set a limit that Mr. Bangish can enter the invoice up to 1 lakh only. If the invoice is more than 1 lakh, he cannot post.
ये हमें कौन बताएगा कि हमारी ये limitations है, मतलब
Yeah. This one in SAP, we define in SAP, right? We will define in SAP. Nobody, yeah, people in your company, your seniors, they will decide, right? Based on your expertise, they will decide. Let's say we'll create a group, right? In SAP or in your company, there are groups, right? Junior accountant, right? Accounts officer, manager, GM, right? Then in group A, junior accountant, junior cashier, accountant, right? There are any organizations, they have their own hierarchy and organizational structure, right? So these are groups, right? Group A, group B, group C, and group D, right? So in group A we have these people, in group B we have these people, and in group C we have managers and senior manager, and group D we have GM and directors, right? Understood? Do you understand this concept, right? It's very important. Basics are very important. You should understand. Now we have groups, right? Group A, group B, group C, and group D, right? Now in group A, he can enter up to 1 lakh, difference amount up to 150. He cannot give any discount in group A people, right? Junior accountant, cashier, and accountant, right? And up to 1000 of difference he can post, right? And then same way for group B, you set limits for these people. This is the limit. Same way for group C, these people, this is the limit, right? Same way for this. Now we will go to define the tolerance for employees based on the groups I shown. Tolerance group for employees, and we will create as a blank, right? We can copy from our company, but and the documents I shown, right, how to create, right? You can create like this too. Company code 555, right? Currency will come automatically because you define your company, and in your company the company currency code, company currency is INR, right? Now here is that those procedures, right, I shown. Amount per document, amount per open item, cash discount, same way, right? So now we will leave this as a maximum, right? But when you practice, you can give 10%, any amount you can give, 10% discount you can give, right? So if you leave these payment permitted differences for revenue, for expense, uh, any difference is allowed. Okay, so these are the groups, right? We're creating a group, right? Group A, for example, in example, right? And then in group A, these many people, right? And then when you assign to these groups to employees, and then you can set the limits there too, right? You have to assign this group to your employee, right? When I created this group, and when I assign this group any like 9, it's millions, right? You can post, and we will create as a blank. This is just an explanation, right? These are the better you give the blank both, so you don't need to assign. Now this 999 is for the upper limit, right? Maximum document you can post: invoice, customer invoice, GL document, open item, right? Open item provisions, vendor and customer invoices are open, right? So you can post up to per open item. Excuse me. Then this is the third one is a discount, right? Right. So if according to these limits, this maximum, right? Now you will save. Now you will assign this tolerance to your employee. Assign users to tolerance group. So what is your username in my name? I think A, right? Now this tolerance, right? Just save. If I create a tolerance group 1, 2, 3, then I need to enter 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now till now we have covered for our enterprise structure, everything is completed, right? Now we will create GLs. Our next topic will be a GL, but once you have completed all those global setting, organizational elements and enterprise structure, there is one T code you can go for global parameters. You can go OBY6, right? This is OBY6, and you can also go through SPRO, SAP reference IMG, financial accounting new, global settings. You'll see in a global setting parameters for company code. This is global parameters for interglobal parameters, right? You can click here, and now you can go to your company code, and if you double click, whatever you did so far will come here on at a glance, one page, right? We've created chart of account, We have created a company, group company. We have created a credit control area. We have created functional management area. We have created fiscal year variant, right? We have created field status variant. We have created posting period variant, right? There are different settings you can do it here, right? And there are other relevant settings also. In future I will tell you what is the use of these settings. Not apply to everyone, every company, but let's say negative posting permitted, right? Debit and credit, instead of debit and credit you can put minus, right? The cost of accounting, right? Company code to if you have a cross company code, many company codes, right? I'll show you what is controlling area and controlling side, right? It's inflation, if your country is subject to the compliance where the inflation rate is high, right? Like Brazil, you know, inflation rate is high, so you can use inflation method, right? Workflow variant, right? Approval of invoices and all those things. But just pay attention on those elements that we defined. Those are required: chart of account, company, company code, credit control area, fiscal year variant, functional management area, field status variant, and posting period variant. What is
Nothing to do with the rest of the things which are in the
that?
box I see.
That is as explained. SAP is for everybody.
Okay, okay,
Your
okay,
company may need or may not need, right?
okay,
Maybe your inflation method, there is no inflation need to go with inflation method in US, right? It's
okay,
very low, right?
okay,
But the countries with the higher inflation, they may use this inflation method, right? And it's not only for one company. There are many scenarios in companies. Some real estate company may not need this, right?
okay,
Banks may not need this, and maybe some manufacturing company they need. Hedge request active, right? Hedge companies, right? They use this, right? Joint venture,
okay.
if you, that's what I'm saying. If you try to learn everything, that will be a nightmare for you. So that's why I'm explaining whatever I configured, that is only required for your role. Let's say you, there is so many things, right? Hedging, joint venture, there, you know, accounting is vast, right? Financial, advance, gross revenue, right? Revenue accounting, cost of sales accounting, gross profit accounting, right? Accrual accounting, deferral accounting. So there are so many things, right? So whatever according to the requirement, if a company is a joint venture company, we do not need to learn joint venture accounting, right? They may need this joint venture accounting. Let's say you have only one company, you don't need then this company code to controlling area, because you cross company code, you don't want to use the cost accounting, so you don't need this. You don't need a workflow variant. One person is enough, he is doing it, he doesn't need any approval, don't need this, right? So only the stuff that we need we already defined. So we have completed our organizational structure, global settings, and all those parameters that are required to create a GL and post transactions, right? So now there is a, in SAP in 2000, I believe 6, they introduced a new version. In that version, they introduced document splitting, right? I will explain document splitting when we will learn profit center accounting in future, but we need to deactivate this function for now, otherwise you will get confused. Document splitting is to split your document, right, into two line items, right, by profit centers. Then there are different concepts, right? Excuse me. Now let's say I will explain at a higher level, right? Don't get confused. I will explain in detail when we will learn this. Ehsan already learned this. He knows, he is the expert. but I will explain. First, we need to deactivate this document splitting. We are not learning for now. We'll learn in future. But why we need to disable or deactivate? Because if you activate, then every time you post a document, it will system will split the document, and there are other things you need to define if you want to use documents. We are not using it. We are not going to use. For example, you have a company, and in company there are two different departments, right? In two different departments, you hire someone to clean the office after hours, right? So at the month end, they will send you the invoice, right? But that invoice will be for two departments, right? So you want to split, right, that invoice among two departments, right? Or that two departments have different profit centers, different cost centers, their head of departments are different, right? So when you pay the invoice, where you will allocate, because there are two different departments, right? So you need to split that amount. So every department head should know this is the expense. His revenue will get reduced, right? So you cannot apply to one department. So when we activate document splitting, system will split the invoice into two vendor line items. And splitting works in many ways. For now, we will deactivate. So you have to follow in your company code this. You can go to this menu path. Also, you can go a transaction code SM30. We will go to. I encourage you to use menu path, so you should familiar with these folders and all those things. You go to IMG and you go to financial accounting new, financial accounting new, general ledger accounting new, business transactions, document splitting. Then you will see here activate document splitting. So it's already, I believe in your company code we did that, no, right? So now you see, you will see different options here. Document splitting, activate document splitting. If you activate it, it will activate it. Deactivation per company code, this one, so is deactivated. You have to uncheck. Okay, if you check, this will activate, right? Okay, you understand, right? So we'll check deactivation. You have to, screen is not showing properly. You have to make sure this checkbox, you see inactive. Understand? If you don't know what that means, go to F1. Activates document splitting for all company codes. Document splitting not performed for the selected company codes. Understand? Right? So this is you can go via SM30, also the T code, right? So you have to check this box against your company code. And once we will go into profit center accounting, we will uncheck. And if I go to my company code, you will see, I think so we deactivated also. I encourage you, when once you're done with the learning of document splitting, deactivate it. Now this is done. Now there are other settings, few other settings that you need to require, right? When we post any document in SAP, SAP calculate tax, right? When you sell something, you purchase something, you need to pay tax, right? Now those tax settings we need to develop at in SAP at a high level. At a country level, we have one tax procedure. SAP provide SAP standard tax procedures. They are available in SAP. You can customize it. You can create your own tax procedure. right? So we just want to make sure that this procedure, this is available in SAP system, is linked to your assigned to your country. So you can go again the menu path, or you can go OBBG T code to assign country to your calculation or tax procedure. So we'll go to SPRO, financial SAP reference IMG, financial accounting new, financial accounting global settings. Now you will see tax on sales and purchase, right? And then you will go to basic settings, then assign country to calculation procedure, this one. Now make sure, so that for the Indian, I think so, tax, what is the tax SG, right? So you can first you need to enter the country, right? IN India. Make sure this tax SG is assigned to your country India. Okay, in your, when you create your company code, make sure in this step that this procedure, this is a tax procedure. In this tax procedure we will create some different codes, and against those codes we will assign percentage, 10%, 15%, and all those, right, things. So this is one time it's already assigned, you don't need to perform this step, right? Now for the CO settings, controlling area settings, we don't require controlling area settings, right? For now, when we will go to learn CO part, we will do this settings, right, on controlling area settings, controlling cost accounting settings. We don't need to require it right now. FI settings are complete, right? And from the next session, what is the time now?
11:70.
So we are almost for an hour, right? Can you check? Yeah, almost close to an hour. So we will stop here, and we will next session we will go our next topic, next module, which is GL,
General ledger.
general ledger accounting. Whatever we did so far will help to create a GL. We need those settings with structure, right? The structure. No, the technically those were not four, and I was going slow, to make you understand the basics, right? Otherwise, that is only one lecture. Basic settings and
Lectures are one lecture.
yeah. So, in if you see your videos, a lot of time I'm taking your questions, right? Explaining to you, because these are basics. Ehsan knows this. Basics are important. If you understand these basics, onward following topics will be very easy for you. So structure we have maintained. Now we will use those structures to create our ledger, general ledger. How we create a general ledger? We need a chart of account. We already created, right? We need to create a chart. We need to create the general ledger. We need our serial numbers, right? System will assign a number, right? From where it will take that number, we have created accounts group, right? In our structure, right? Remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
Then once you will create those GLs, I'll show you how to create the GL. So you will divide your company into your expenses and income, right? What are the sources of your income? What are the sources of your expenses? In your company, business will tell you, okay, we pay salaries, we pay admin expenses, we pay stationery, we pay commission, we pay dividend, we pay insurance, we pay taxes. So all those expenses, you need to create those many GLs. For incomes, if you're generating income, then you will need to create those GLs. So what system will do, when you will post any transaction, when you pay the salaries, when you pay the rent, system will post those transactions into the GL. So you can check the balances in those GLs. You can do many analysis, reporting. That is the purpose of this latest and greatest SAP ERP system, right? Then we have created groups, right? Many groups we have created. Under those groups we have provided the range. My expense GL will be from 1 to 999, let's say, for example, right? Then we will create a bunch of GLs, and then I will show you how to post a transaction into SAP system. SAP is all about posting transactions into SAP system and then analyzing them. For to post those transactions, we need a structure, we need a company, we need the tax settings, we need the organizational elements, we need the GLs, we need the ranges, number range. When system post the document, what number system will allot, we need to create the ranges, number ranges. We have created number ranges, right? How you will classify what is this in this document? Is this vendor invoice or customer invoice? Is this expense posting or revenue posting? The system will classify your posting based on document type. We have defined document type in our structure and in basic settings, right? As Bangish.
Yeah.
Then when you post any document, you will give a date. So how system will determine your period, what period you are posting? You need to open that period first. We need to create those as a fiscal year variant. Then when while posting, what field is required, what field is optional, that we define in field status group, right? All those settings will come to play a role, right? That's why organizational structure is important. In the next session, we'll continue with the GL. Until then, take care of yourself and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Barish.
Allah Hafiz.
So 10 बजे होती है class every day, right?
That is right. Now we are changing because his office is open now. So we'll let you know, and I will encourage Mr. Bangish to just text you, or I will text you.
Yeah, just let me know like what is the
Okay.
timing, so inshallah I'll join you.
Yeah, sure. It's good.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a
No,
great night.
bye bye.
Bye.